as we jump right back into it, because I ain't playing. Whenever spirit breaks it up, they want me to break it up. Hey, Hekate, woo! Because we were in reading one, and Hekate came in and was like showing me who and what you are. Hey, I can probably find a way to put these together, and if they have me do, I will. But I really get the vibe that like they wanted me to do it like this. We're in the shadow energy. And, I feel like reading one, we started this was a group, I call it a group picker reading. And if you're new here, welcome. My name is Tallulah Kelly. I'm the magical medium. And whenever my camera goes awry and it stops, I mean, I've had things happen where like my phone will like flip across the room. I'll be trying to pick it up and fumbling, whatever, and it is still paused. I'm like, I was not even in the area that would stop it. And then it was like, bam. So Hecate wanted to come in like bold face in your face. She wanted to talk to you. And maybe because the other reading, you wouldn't have looked at it. Like maybe there was something about it that you wouldn't have been drawn to, but she's talking to you now. So in the first video, we had like kind of a description of this reading and messages from our shadow self that we need to hear right now. And this is from reading one. And at the beginning of reading one, we spoke about how this is Hecate, number 21, and the name of the card is Illumination. So I'm going to pull out just a little bit because I feel like the snake wants to be seen as well. Okay. Here we go. There we go. Beautiful. So at the beginning we spoke, I'm not going to go into the whole thing again. If you're drawn to it, go back and watch it. There'll be timestamps provided. There'll be links. Like whenever Spirit does it, like I said, I always know there's like it's the breadcrumbs, man. I'm the muse, man. It's just my job as the medium, the muse, to just help you find your answers. I mean, even this wasn't happening before. But now it's like, what's going on? Because I feel like this has like your chakras are like out of whack too. Like almost feel like there's like almost like a ghost in the machine. Do you see that? It could be for some of you. Maybe that was it too. Oh, when I looked down, it was 222. Hi, Baba. So my familiar who crossed back over several months ago, her name was Baba Yaga. She's a really powerful witch. And Hecate is a really powerful goddess, witch, energy, healing, the shadow, and so I feel like Baba is here. So maybe that was for some of you too. Maybe you're cat lovers. Maybe they'll have me put something. But right now, Spirit is having me like, it's like I'm fishing. It's like I'm just throwing the line out and like whatever catches, I'm like, you tell me what hashtags to use. You tell me what to, you know what I mean? Like, so welcome, welcome, welcome. And for those of you who keep coming back, welcome back. Thank you for the wild ride that we're on together. So we spoke of the duality of this energy is the darkness and illumination. And now we are going to speak with Hecate. So let's see what this says. Okay, so for a long time, the so-called dark goddesses got a bad rap. People thought if a goddess was of the dark or looked a certain way, quote unquote, scary, then they were evil or nasty. The Christianization of certain mythos twisted many stories as well. In particular, those deities, usually female, who were perhaps magic makers, sorceresses, too independent or feisty, or who were remade into evil and dangerous spirits. Stones of I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. Circe, Kali, Kalema, the Morgan, Morgan Le Fay, and Medusa are examples. And so when we looked at a complex figure such as Hecate, it is important to understand that paradoxically, a dark deity can actually be an illuminator. Exactly. And it's on page 61. And this card is 21. So that's interesting. I don't know if that means anything to anybody, but I feel like it needed to be said. So there you go. Okay, so then it says, let me see if I can get in here. When Persephone was taken by Hades into the underworld, and Zeus and Demeter negotiated for her return. It was her friend, the goddess Hekate, who lit torches for her friend to guide her home. Oh, Persephone was allowed to return home for half the year, and she was guided through the darkness on her return by Hekate and her torches. From that time, Hekate became Persephone's guide and companion. Propolos, serving or attending on her journey to and from the underworld. Oh my gosh, that's so powerful. So I'm getting from spirit, like, I think this broke up this way because it's not that if you watch the first part, like, this isn't for you. I feel like this is like I said, I feel like it's somebody wouldn't have maybe seen the other one, and like Hecate, maybe an energy that you work with, or maybe it's like an energy that they want you to work with, and this is how it found you. Maybe you researched them, or maybe when you were in school, like, you loved mythology and you were really into Hecate, but you didn't know why. I'm also feeling like, oh gosh, it's like getting really windy outside. A huge storm's coming in. Oh my gosh, I almost want to lift my camera, but I don't want to fuck up the view. But like, all of a sudden, I'm at the base of a mountain range, and like all of a sudden it got so fucking dark over the mountains, you guys. So, but the sun's still out, which is really cool. I love when that happens. That's why you can kind of see that it's like, lit. I don't have a flash on, but you might be able. Okay, do you see how dark it is back there? Maybe you can see that because the sun's behind us. But you see that wind? That's you. That's how powerful you are. And that's the darkness that's going into the mountains. I feel like for some of you, you're afraid of yourself. You're literally afraid of yourself because, like, maybe you've seen things, or maybe you've done things in private, in secret, that not many people know about. But whatever it is, I feel like Spirit's like, you have to be bold and brave enough to fucking go in there. And when you go into the shadow, you call on Hecate to guide you. Be like, Hecate, don't leave me. Like, I don't want to be here by myself. Can you show me what I need to see? Help me work through the fear part. I've worked with several teachers and shamans, same thing, different word. But I've worked with so many guides in so many capacities, earthbound and otherwise, that have shown me a lot, like through journeys and experiences, things that, like, when I see it, I'm scared, but then they show me that it's an illusion. And that most of what we see on a daily basis is an illusion. And even for some of you, you could be, if you have some dark energies that are around you, maybe you are feeling like you're getting bit. Like, a friend of mine and I, years ago, wherever two or more gather, she's super witchy too. And, at the time, like, we may have thought like we were witchy, but like, we didn't really know, I know who we were at the time, and we didn't know. We felt it, but we didn't really know. But long story short, we ended up, her boyfriend was, oh my gosh, that's so weird. Because last night I had this like vivid dream of my first husband. It was like so vivid. Like, when I woke up this morning, I like, whenever I have vivid dreams, I like will check obituaries. And I know that sounds dark to some people, that's how some people come to me. That's how I have found out about so many people who have passed. Like, either I felt like they were going to pass and then they passed and I didn't look it up because I didn't want to like bring it closer, but other people, like, that's happened. I'm like, oh, that's, like, one of my really good friends growing up, like, I didn't even know she died, but like, she just kept coming to me over and over and over and over and over in all these different ways. And then finally I looked, because she was my age, right? So I was just like, why would she be, and anyway. So if you keep getting a repetitive message, it's probably somebody who's crossed over, or maybe it's somebody who's trying to talk to you from the other side, and they're crossed over. But I'm hearing from Spirit, don't be afraid of this energy. Like, this is who you are. Anyway, so my friend and I, this guy's house who she was with was actually my first husband's best friend. And my first husband and I decided that we were going to elope to Vegas. We were living in LA at the time. And so we decided to just have our each best friend meet us. And so we just wanted each to have one witness. That's it. Like, that's all we wanted. And so long story short, they ended up getting together. So we were at his house when he was out of town. He was like, hey, if you girls, he lived in this, beachy town, and he was really close to the beach. And he was like, if you girls want to, come and stay, at my house while I'm at work. He used to like go out of town for work all the time. He's like, you're more than welcome to. And we're like, okay, cool. So she went there first, and she was like, dude, there's some weird energy here. Like, she's like, and this is before, like, we were ghost hunters, but like, we didn't understand it. not like we did, like, I know, I don't know them anymore, but I know that like I know that they're very progressed in their thoughts. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're like, into this, as well at the same time. But anyway, long story short, I got to the house and so much fucking crazy shit happened when we were both there. She's like, dude, it's like ever since you got here, it got worse. And I used to think like, oh, I'm the only one. Like, I must be the magic. But then I started to realize wherever two or more gather. So that's why it got worse when I got there. And like right now, I feel like something's biting me again and there's nothing there. Oh my gosh, stop now. Enough. You get out of here. So whatever it was very malevolent. Like, I got this really creepy energy. Like, we both got this creepy vibe that like whoever lived there like did not like women, or he liked to rape women or like date rape women. Like, I just got the vibe because it was such a bachelor pad. And I remember even like years later, her and I like saying like, I wonder if like he was that and we just didn't know, because I always got a creepy vibe from him. And like, he would touch me sometimes like super inappropriately, where I'm like, I am married to your best friend. Like, do not fucking touch me there. Do not fucking touch me. So it could have been that. Maybe he had a little dark shadow that was with him. I'm not going to go into that story, the whole thing, like whatever. But I will tell you this, that whatever the energy was, whether it was attached to him or the house or whatever, there was no fucking way that the things that happened to us, there was no way that a human could move that fast. We would be like standing there and somebody would ring the doorbell and like, and it started out just casually like, oh, someone's here, and I was like, oh no. Oh, because I think she said something like he used to get deliveries, and she was like, and this was before Amazon and all that, but because he traveled a lot for his job, I think he worked in pharmaceutical sales, so like things would get dropped off at his house, like, for work. And so we didn't think anything of it until like by the third time there was no one there. We were like right there and we would like run outside. And there was like even a time where we were like waiting for it. So like, I was like, you go out the back door, I'll go out the front door. Cause we thought, oh, some kids are fucking with us, Ooh, when I looked down, it's 12/13, which is my birthday. That's how gross, right? And it didn't stop there. All the lights were flickering, all this other fucking shit was happening. But the grand dame of it is we both were getting attacked by mosquitoes. We would flip on the light, there would be nothing there. We would hear like swarms. It sounded like swarms of mosquitoes, because he had a large bed. So like I could have slept on the couch, but we were both kind of freaked out. So we just slept on the bed, I think it was like, it was like a queen or a king, but either way, we were like sisters, and either way, even if we were together, we were, but either way, I don't know why I'm saying that. It was a long time ago, probably because that was my mindset back then. I would have thought I was like, oh no, people might think I'm gay. Oh, that's interesting. Wow. That's interesting. So, right. Cause these aren't just readings for just like, they're readings for all of us. That's what I'm saying. They're group readings. All these things come through. So maybe you're having these kind of experiences, but we started to realize like whatever it wasn't just playful. It started to get like they basically were like, get out. You know what I mean? And I was like, dude, we got to get the fuck out of here. I'm like, whatever is here does not want us here. I'm like, we need to go. I'm like, did you guys see that flow through? I am looking at like the outwardly, nothing was flying in here, but did you just see that fly through? That's what I'm talking about. It's like the dimensions are bleeding together. Things are bleeding together. And the reason why I can go to that story so easily is because time is a man-made construct. So in some ways, I could go there right now. It's happening to me right now while I'm there, even though I'm here with you 30 years later. You know what I mean? Because seriously, I think it was like we got married in like 1997. So I think they were together like 6 months after the wedding kind of thing. They weren't together very long. But there's just something that's going on right now with the shadow that is not fucking playing. And maybe this is why you chose this reading, because you need someone like Hekate to kind of like get your back, so to speak. I don't know if she wants me to keep going with the book. Hekate, would you like me to keep reading the book? No. And she said, oh, she's so cool, man. She's like, thank you for sharing your story. I was like, no worries. But this is what I'm trying to say to you guys. These things have been happening to me since I was a child. If you are new here and you're like, is this real? Is this real? It's fucking real. All of this is real. And they want us to be in fear. They want us to be scared. They're going to do things like recently, in the area that I live, somebody hacked the delivery company and like all of like their stuff and like all of the companies that they work with. So they have not been able to get any food deliveries. And the last 2 times I've gone into the store, like I almost don't even want to go in there because it's creepy. It looks like Armageddon. Like it looks like the apocalypse. There's hardly anything on the shelves. But the interesting thing is it's a plethora of fruits and vegetables because the area that I live in is very, very saturated with farms and very healthy, organic, like beautiful farms. So we have a plethora of fruit and vegetables. That's not the problem. And so I said to them, I go, so everything that's on the shelves are things that are brought in? They're like, yeah, and everything else are things that are local. And it was funny because I was talking to this beautiful elderly couple. We just started talking to each other in one of the aisles, and I was like, okay, I go, now it's looking really apocalyptic. Because like the first week it happened, it was kind of like looking sparse, and then the second week it was like, whatever. But like now I went back just like maybe 4 or 5 days later, and I was like, holy shit, like this, it's almost like people are buying a bunch of stuff just in case they can't get it. And it was freaky. It was really weird, because this is my local co-op. I mean, it's always like just flush with everything you need. But it looked like the store had been, ransacked. And so the couple and I were talking, and I said, it really puts it into perspective, doesn't it? And they're like, what do you mean? I go, well, I said, the things that I'm missing, they're not from this area. Maybe this is like a wake-up call for all of us to see, okay, see this is what's from our area. Let's support these people. And if those things come back in, that's great. But at least we know now that you know what I mean? Because there was something for everything. There was still some paper towels. There were still some soaps. There were still, you know what I mean? But like any like big box company stuff, which my co-op doesn't really keep anything really, I mean, all of the companies that they use are like small batch, or you know what I mean? Like, so, I mean, for that respect, it's not like they carry like big box, like Kraft and things like that. But it was just really interesting. And I think 1728, I feel like that's the kind of perspective that they're trying to show us. So, there's going to be, I keep feeling this vibe that we're going to see things. I feel like they're going to fuck with us. Like maybe turn the power off, maybe just to show us how much power they have. Where other people, like people who live in like the countryside and smaller towns and villages that look out for each other, we're not going to suffer as much. The people who are going to suffer are people who are really on the grid. Like if you live in a building that you're on the 100th floor and you have to take an elevator and the power goes out and they don't have backup generators, or the backup generators will only last for so long, you know what I mean? It's like, but that's the fear and panic. They want us to be like, look at how much control I have over you. And Hekate wants you to look the other way and say, nope, I'll go where I need to be. And I feel like for some of you, in the beginning of this card, they spoke of travel. And I feel like for some of you, what Spirit is trying to say is like, it's time for you to go to where you feel safe, to where you feel like home, to where like it's a good community of people. My neighbor is like a huge American president supporter. I'm not even going to say their name. Not that whatever, I just don't want to bring it in right now because there's enough shadow going on. And on the day of the protests, I was lighting candles, holding prayers and vigil all day because that energy can be a bit much for me to go to the protest. So instead, I worked on my garden. I did things. I held the light. I listened to positive music. I just stayed in a high vibration and just, seriously just prayed for the protesters all day. But it was really frustrating because I kept hearing honking and honking and honking, and I didn't know what was going on. At first, I was like, is somebody at a wedding, or, I don't know. I'm like, what's going on? Then I realized, I'm like, oh my gosh, I looked out and I saw my neighbor had like this big tent and like a whole thing. And it was like all this stuff for the American president. And I was like, oh God, like happy birthday, Mr. President. I was just like, oh God, help me. And it was so obnoxious, but you know what? I just sent it love. I sent it love, and I stayed in my high vibration, and I'm like, that's my neighbor. You know, we may not see the same way, we may not whatever, but you know, recently there was a huge power outage. They lost power. If I had no power, that means they had no power in the middle of the day. And I was thinking, like, I wonder, like, what they're dealing with. They're a restaurant, you know, like, I wonder what's going on over there. By the way, this fly just came in, and it is like, it's doing that thing where it's going, and I feel like for some of you, you know, flies, it's not their fault. It's not your fault. If you were here for good, you may stay, but if you were here for shadow, you must go away. And you understand that now. Thank you for your beauty and your grace. I feel like they want you to see them. See, they're kind of hiding on that leaf there. But it's not the fly's fault. Flies are just easily manipulated. So it's not their fault. It's like moths to a flame, you know, like people are like, why do moths kill themselves? Why do bugs kill themselves on the zapper? You know, I don't know, right? It's just like, it's that kind of thing. So that fly is here to absorb and take away the shadow and the darkness. Hekate sent them. Thank you. Thank you, Hekate. So call on these energies, call on these entities now more than ever, because they will help you and they do want to help you. You know, I tell you guys all the time, like, you don't need this, you don't need that. You don't need like material things. No, like you don't like need to have this rock, but is it good to have in your hand for grounding energy? It certainly is. Get grounded, get quiet, right? This jade isn't even in the reading, but it wanted to come in here for me. The Lemurian wanted to come in. You know, it's like whatever energy you are working through and working with is fine. You know, just remember to keep coming back to the light, coming back to the light, coming back to the light. So I'm going to leave Hekate there. And are we ready to, are we going to leave the portal open for reading 1? Would Hekate like to stay up there for protection for the reading 2 and 3? That's the vibe I got too. Are we ready to move on to reading 2? Okay, do we want to close the portal for reading 1? Okay, so now it's like we're going to open them like one by one. So now, oh, when I looked down, it was 22. And it was like I saw nothing else but 22. So interesting. When my familiar passed, Baba Yaga, the day she passed and the day that we laid her to rest, she came to me. Oh, when I looked down, it was 22. She came to me at 22 p.m. both times and told me that every time that number comes in, that's her speaking to me. And I get, you know, you guys know I've been saying this for years, that I always felt like Baba was like a Hekate or like, you know, Baba Yaga, right? Like, you know, so it doesn't surprise me if Baba is like channeling Hekate, because I really feel that. So we're opening the portal for reading 2. Let me see. Do you want me to take a break, Spirit? Do you want me personally to take a break or do anything before we go into reading 2? Is it in there, or my greatest nice good? Just take a little water break. Don't want to take any other breaks right now? Okay. Would you like me to go to another video for reading 2 and like do separate links completely? No, they just wanted that to be broken up. It was all about Hekate, baby. Whatever happens, happens. I just heard whatever happens, happens, right? Whatever happens in readings stays in readings. Okay, so we open the portal with grace and gratitude to reading 2. Thank you, Hekate, for staying here in portal 1. She came out of that portal. Reading 2, Hydra. Oh, damn. Regeneration. You know what I saw, though, you guys? I saw resurrection. So I just got the chills. So resurrection and regeneration. Hydra. Number 11. So I'm feeling like a really strong angel energy from you guys. Like really powerful. I feel like we have to do it this way because I feel like Hydra wants their own like view. You know what I mean? Like, but do you see it? Look at like Hecate's hands going to one of Hydra's like, oh my gosh. Okay. There's so much coming through right now. There's so much coming through. I almost feel like my hands went to the deck. So let me see if they want me to pull a card out right away because, or maybe it's just for the visual. Oh my gosh. I have the chills all over my body reading 2. What is this shadow medicine for you? Ooh, girl. Okay, Hydra. Here we go. Reading 2. Deal with the issue now. Do not allow it to become more complex or worse. Reject gossip. Look for the source of a problem. Go to the beginning to understand the motive. Wow. So, reading 2, this is a message from your shadow self. So, the duality of this is regeneration / death versus now / later, right? So, like, maybe you're somebody, like, I'll give you my example. So recently it's been really hot and I've been doing a lot of yard work, and I've just been like kind of taking a shower out of my big like sink. And it was so hot that I'm like, oh, the water is just going to dry. It's going to be fine. I have lavender, real lavender, like underneath like the rugs and all the stuff. But anyway, long story short, I yesterday got like this faint smell of mold, and I was like, oh no, where's that coming from? And then today I smelled it really strong, and then I knew. I was like, I saw it. I was like, fuck. I'm like, I wanted to pull that rug back. I'm like, I should have, because the weather now shifted and it was like in the 40s overnight for a few nights. You know what I mean? So now I know, like, something I've been putting off ripping the rest of this carpet out, and I know it has to get done. And I just had this moment where I'm like, next week, and I've been putting it off, and I got this vibe from Spirit recently that they're like this in this next week. So sometimes, we can put things off and put things off and put things off, and Spirit's like, all right, until it gets to the point where it's like, it can't be put off anymore. Like, it has to. If you don't, it's just gonna be a miserable experience. And right, like, this is my home. I don't know where I'm moving to or what's gonna happen, but as of right now, this is my house. I have to take care of it. And I feel like it's the same for you. Like, what is, and also I'm hearing, like, for some of you, like, whatever it is, like, it's dead, it's gone. Whether it's a relationship, a job, a situation, it's over. I mean, it's over. There's going to be a regeneration, but it's not going to happen until you move on, right? So in order for the death regeneration process to happen, it's got to happen now, not later. There's no more later. There's no more later. That's literally, I just got the chills from Spirit. There's no more later. Do we want to read about Hydra right now? Do we want to read any more from the book on this card? I feel like also, they're not having me get into it, but I do believe that Hydra may be the story of like where it cuts off and it just regrows, right? So I feel like for some of you, you're like, it's almost like you're pruning your weeds instead of pulling the weeds from the roots. You're just snipping off the tops, right? Like, you're not actually like pulling it out and like moving forward. And my eyes just went to Hekate, and I feel like there's some like other source that wants to come in. What is going on? I'm feeling that thing again too, like with if you weren't in reading 1, we were talking about how the shadow can like take different forms and forces, like something that's not really there, but something that's like making you feel like it's there. Like, there are some really powerful energies and entities out there that can make you think like you're being attacked by a swarm of bees. Like, you've seen it in like a movie, right? And then like nobody else can see what's happening to you. You're just running around like a chicken with your head cut off, and everybody's like, what the fuck is going on with them? But to you, you're seeing these bees chasing you, and you're just like, oh my God, I don't want to get stung. I don't want to get stung. And I feel like for some of you, there's some shadow force that's like taking on, and like almost like this little, oh, this just came right out, it's in reverse too, like almost like this that seems like they're nice, like be mindful of the voices you're listening to. This is a message we got from, I don't know if they would consider themselves a tribe member, but somebody that's new into my orbit. They're really powerful, and they downloaded a message from Spirit, and I felt like it wasn't just for me. I felt like it was for our tribe. And they said that, like, to be mindful of which spirits you're listening to, even if it's somebody who's crossed over, because you have to remember, like, if somebody crossed over and maybe like you, like, in their human form, they were really kind, they were very loving, they were very giving, but like maybe in the dark they're like some fucking serial killer that you didn't know about. Well, if they crossed over and they're still in some, like, where they have to, like, they're paying some karmic debt of in nowhere's land, energy. By the way, this is reciprocity. I think that's Charon. you know it's like it's going to come for them. Also, I feel like for some of you, especially because like you've got the divine feminine back here, we've got Hekate with the divine feminine. This definitely feels like a very ominous divine masculine to me, but it could also be very, very, there's no sexual, you know what I mean? Like there's no, you know what I mean? Like this could be divine feminine or divine masculine. I don't feel, it's very androgynous to me. Thank you, Spirit. But there's all these keys that are hanging here. And I feel like that means something. And I feel like keeping Hekate here too is almost like we're telling a story. But I feel like, you know, right now the divine masculine is really under attack. And we all have divine feminine and we all have divine masculine. And I feel like for some of you, you know, it's like you're too far into Hekate. You know, like let Hekate do her job. Like she's meant to like be a badass mama jamba, right? Like that's her job. Like that's why was created. That's why they're there. Yes, use them, call on them. But at the same time, it's like you're not Hekate, right? So you don't have to be like this. If you are, it's almost like I feel like your divine masculine is defending or protecting your divine feminine who's like hiding in the shadows, right? Number 11. It's like if you chose this pile, I feel like you are an earth angel. You're definitely a light worker, but like however, like I always say all angels are light workers, but not all light workers are angels. So, but I feel like for you, because the number 11 came and it is so closely associated with new beginnings and the divine and, you know, creation and the angel realm, I definitely feel like, you know, you are from the angel realm. Now, in reading 1 with Hekate, you may be as well, right? But I feel like if you're just coming here for the pick a reading, I get this really strong feeling that you may not know this or may not even be aware that you are an angel. So, surprise, you know, right? You're an angel. It's kind of like, surprise, it's a girl. When I got my familiar and I rescued her and they didn't know, you know, I got her off the street and she was so big and they were like, I don't know if it's a boy or a girl. And long story short, we just assumed it was a boy because, you know, she had a very strong divine masculine energy about her. And when he brought her back to me and he's like, it's a girl, I was like, oh, that is so funny, right? Because I mean, right? You may assume something or you may think something, and maybe this is of you. Maybe people assume that you're a certain way or assume that you're like this really soft, like whatever energy, but deep down, you're more like Hekate. You're more like in this, like, you know, but I'm feeling like there's something in the shadows lurking for you. And I feel like it hangs around you and it has all the keys. It knows how to open your doors. It knows how to, right? Because not all shadow is like, listen, bitch. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I would definitely know when I would have, you know, dark guides around me. Because I'm like, my guides would never talk to me the way because I was so used to these voices in my head that I didn't understand like what they were, where they were coming from, kind of energy. And then over time and working with different, you know, energies and entities and teachers and so on, I began to understand. And so recently when this other light worker said to me, you know, be mindful, you have a lot of like dark energies around you, you know, that are like swaying you in the wrong direction. I really needed to hear that because ever since then I've been very concise about it. I do so many readings, you know, people's energy come in. This is my home. I live here, you know? So even though I smudge and I ring bells and I have my guides and my protectors, I usually can tell within like the first few hours if something lingers in here. It's usually quicker than that, but I do have times where like I'll feel something and I'll say like, I know you're here. Like, I know you're hiding on the other side of the house. I'm like, you need to go. You know, I'm not mean to them. I'm just like, you need to go. If I have to get mean, I get mean, but I'll just start smudging or ringing bells and I'll be like, okay, mind your ears, by the way. I'll be like, I love you. I love you. Get the fuck out of my house. I'm like, I love you, but you gotta go. Right? It's like that old adage if you're in a bar, right? You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. You got to get the fuck out. That's what I say to them. Like, you got to go. I'm like, you know, back into the ether, back into love. I'd like you to go. But if that's not, you know, your whatever, I'm like, then you go with your flow, but get the fuck out of my house because you know that you don't belong here. Bye-bye with grace and gratitude. See you later. Right? You know? especially when I get into my natural flow like that. Like I just made that up as I went along, but like there is definitely a rhyme and a rhythm to it. And I've been feeling this energy. I have a feeling it's either going to come through for you or it's going to come through for reading 3. But before this started, I felt this really powerful energy of manifestation, and I feel like for that this must be for all of us in this, because it's coming here. But I don't feel like it's the directive of your reading 2. But I am feeling this energy that it's going to be in reading 3. So if you're drawn to, you may want to go there. And Spirit had me break this up into 2 videos for a reason, because Hekate had to like make her grand entrance on her own on a separate video. It's so awesome, right? Because everything happens for a reason. And when these things happen and when these things occur, don't have fear around them, or don't be like, fuck, I wanted it perfect. No, there's no such thing. No such thing. No such thing. No such thing. And you don't have to like ride the waves of defense all the time either. Like I'm getting this vibe from Spirit. You do not have to live like that. You do not have to live like that. When you're feeling a dark energy or an entity, you pull the Glinda the Good Witch out and you say, be gone before a house falls on you too, right? Like get the fuck out of here. You're not supposed to be here. I know you're not supposed to be here. You know you're not supposed to be here. So you need to go. With grace and gratitude and love, goodbye. Because the shadow is like, it's not like there's some dark force, like, just directing, like even like things that are happening with, right now, like the American president, where people are like, what's going on? Like, what is, it's like, because people have things over people. When people are done hiding, when people are done protecting their past or things that they've done, then there'll be no power. The only reason why they have leverage and power over the rich and powerful right now is because somewhere, somehow along the lines in these human years, they've done some shady shit, or something happened, or something that would be frowned upon, or something blah, blah, blah. And they said, hey, let's get together and do this mass takeover of the planet. I think these big leaders I think they're all in cahoots. I really do. I think there's something going on, which is why our American president is like talking about these leaders like they're the best guys in the world. And we're all like, are you fucking stoned, dude? Like, they're like dictators that like murder and kill people and like as they will. I'm like, you are in the wrong you're in the wrong country. You're in the wrong place. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's what's happening with the spiritual world too. It's like we're all seeing like what's really happening in the underbelly. And so I'm getting the vibe from Spirit that, it's time for you to deal with certain things now, instead of this, like where you've been like fighting it off and acting like, I'll just deal with it later. I'll deal with it later. Spirit's like, there is no fucking later. There's no later. It's now. It's right now. And for some of you, you're going to have certain things. If you don't deal with it now, Spirit will do it for you. If it is definitely something in your fated path and purpose that's in your soul contract. Now, it's true. You can rip up your soul contract. You can change your soul contract anytime you want. But if you are here as a warrior of the light, and especially for you reading too, like you're an angel, you're an earth angel, you have a much grander, much bigger purpose than any of this petty fucking, social media, what's going on in the outer world, like whatever. I mean, like your purpose is so much grander. Let me see if they want me to pull, because I kind of was feeling like we needed one more card. The reciprocity is interesting though, because I do feel like I feel like they want me to go to the book on this one. Let me make sure though. Do we want to go to the book for reciprocity? Do we want to go into anything beyond the words? Okay. So, remember how I said at the beginning that these were broken up into groups? So we have the deep, the dark, and the dangerous. So it's interesting too, because Hekate is from the dark, and so is, reciprocity, Charon. This one is the first one of the dark, and it's almost like you're on either side because you're from the deep, right? Like you're from the deep dregs of like, you may even be a water sign, or maybe like whatever you don't want to deal with is a water sign, or there could be a water energy, or it could be that right now in real time, today is the very last day of Gemini season. Tomorrow is not just the first day of summer and winter, it's also the first day of Cancer season. So it could be that in the Cancer season, in the water energy, that's something that you've been dealing with or something may be coming to a head, and Spirit is just trying to, I just got the chills all over my body. I feel like, and by Jove, I think she's got it. I believe that it's something like that, but it's something that has to happen. See, it's almost like a dam that broke too. It's like, yes, they pushed out of the sea, but do you see how like she's there in the background? I feel like this feels like the ocean and the air energy. So maybe you're going to push through Gemini, out of the Gemini, like the air energy, and maybe you're an air energy, or you know, whatever energy that you're dealing with. Maybe air is one that's not easy for you if you're fire, because fire energy and air energy can be very dangerous, right? Like that's when wildfires spread, is when the winds pick up and they're like, no, 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 no. Like we don't want the winds, right? Like we don't want the winds. The winds are not good because they're going to make it worse, right? So that's the energy that I'm getting from Spirit as well, is like maybe you've been like trying to keep something at bay because you don't want to deal with like what's going to happen, you know, whether it's leaving a job or a situation or a relationship, whatever it is, insert your story, but there's something that has to be dealt with. I don't care if it's your fucking closet and you're like, you know what I mean? Like to some people, they're like, you're going to compare like someone's life falling apart to their closet. I'm like, yes, because to some people, that's where it starts. Maybe you're just like done like with your wardrobe. You're done with the way you look. You want to look the way you want to look on the outwardly, you know, maybe you're tired of being a certain person or a certain kind, and you're going to burst out like, you know, and maybe you've been, you know, this like precious divine feminine in the background, and now you're going to push through in this like Cancer season and this water energy, and you're going to be like, I'm a bad mamba jamba. Hecate's got my back, right? Because I just think it's interesting that you are flanked with dark energy. I don't believe that I don't, you know me, I don't believe in, there's no such thing as accidents or coincidence. Everything happens for a reason. Okay, so this says, let me get in here, reciprocity. Okay. You must find balance in acts of giving and receiving in all ways, but in particular in your give and take with the earth. You must learn to reciprocate. So also like, and I'm not saying this to be a dick, but there are some water signs in our tribe that have been coming through for several months, some people even years. They have a lot of water in their chart, is the energy that I'm getting from Spirit too. Where it's like, I understand that like it's nice to have people give you things, it's nice to, you know, have people take care of you, but I feel like for some of you the give and take has gotten like, your balance is so off, and like what you think is giving maybe isn't, you know, I'm almost getting the vibe from some of you, it's more than just like purging a closet. Like the closet is almost like a metaphor for like, it's time to discard and get rid of like these old beliefs and these old like, you know, where you're like, I'm so spiritual, and you are, and whatever, but yet you're like still living in this third dimensional reality, still having relationships with people that are in the third dimensional reality, still like feeding people's fucking like mythical, you know, like this is a mythology deck, like you're like still feeding their bullshit, when Spirit's like, you know, you need to fucking stop talking to them. You know, you need to pull away from them. It's like they're getting very real. So the duality is giving versus receiving, and acceptance versus rejection. And I feel like for some of you, exactly, like you need to know when to hold them, know when to fold them. Okay, all I did was move back, and look at how dark that went. You don't want to go to the shadow. I feel like for some of you, Spirit's saying I'm taking a picture. They're like, you think you've been in the shadow. They're like, oh, my child, you think you've been in the shadow. You haven't even you've scratched the surface, but you have, and maybe for some of you, you know, and I'm not saying this to be a dick. I'm just saying it because, you know, I went there first, and I'm here to hold space for you, and I love you, but I'm also not going to candy coat shit for you anymore, right? Like for some of you, like they're like, no, like it's not just like a little bit. It's like full on, like no more, no more, no more. And you're like, can I have this little sliver of light? And they're like, yes, you can have the sliver of light. That is fine. But like, you have got to go and do the shadow work. And that means going all the way in. That means giving up certain things, certain people, certain places. Like it just, this is literally, I'm getting this vibe from Spirit that it's like, no more. No more. You know what you got to do, number 2. And it's going to be different for all of you guys. Like your stories are all going to be completely different. Do we have any more cards for number 2? Okay. Now, let's see. Do we have any more messages for reading 2 before we move on to reading 3? No. Okay. Do we want to leave the portal open for reading 2 as well? Do you want me to take their cards away? Would Hekate like to stay though? Okay. Interesting. So we're going to pull these back. Hecate's going to stay. Your card is, so we're closing the portal for reading 2. Thank you for being here. We love you. We love you. Love you. And all of my information, everything is in the description box if you would like to work with me or if you'd like to contribute anything to the work on this channel. Never ever expected, but always appreciated. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And prayers are free. Okay. So we're closing the portal for reading 2. Thank you, Hydra. Thank you, Charon. And now let us go. I'm putting them in separate places in the deck in case we want to do anything for reading 3. So that's what the cover of the book looks, of the deck looks like. And I feel like they wanted you to see that. So I'm going to put that there. Okay. So now, Spirit, would you like us to pause and take a break for reading 3? Do we want to take, okay, I'm going to take a short break, you guys. For you, it'll be a second. I don't know how long it'll be for me, but I will be right back. I love you. Okay, welcome reading 3. So this is, you know, not your typical pick a reading. This is what we call a group pick a reading because it just keeps kind of flowing together. So I have to tell you, I got the chills all over my body. I love you guys so much. As I was getting this together, I literally just kept hearing over and over, Pink Pony Club, I'm gonna keep on dancing at the Pink Pony Club. I mean, I literally was like, in West Hollywood. So I don't know who this is for, but and it's interesting because I didn't even put it together until they asked me to bring in some lighter crystals, you know, for reading 3. And then as I was doing it, I noticed that their face on the cover she kind of almost looks like Chappell Rowan, like a little bit, you know what I mean? Especially like almost looks drag, right? So, so welcome. And I'm feeling such a light energy from you. I don't know what your card is, but I almost feel like I want to say congratulations before we see your card. Because I do feel like, I mean, Hekate wanted to stay, but reading 2 just wanted to like go back into the deck. Like they didn't even want me to, you know, it's like if you were drawn to reading 2, go check it out. If not, you know. But it's interesting because even though I love seeing their beautiful face, I'm feeling this energy that I want to cover that right now. Oh, look at that. Oh, ho, ho, ho. And I want to let the light in. It's been very dark and ominous, but I want to let the light in a little bit. Drink some water because I feel it's almost like I can see clearly now the rain is gone. Which is really funny because look at how light it looks outside, but actually it's been pretty, you know, there was like a massive storm. I don't know if you could see it through the curtains, but in one of the last readings, I think it was reading 2, it got really dark and a little bit scary, you know, where I was just like, okay, I'm like, that's really dark. But for you guys, it's like, I feel like there's like a light at the end of the tunnel. So let's see if they want me to pull any more cards before we do your reveal. Sometimes they want me to, and I was feeling it in reading 1 and 2. And the fact that the deck is moving tells me that I'm correct. So it was reading 3. It was reading 3 all along. Okay. It's like stuck to my hand. Okay. Are there any others? Do we have any more for reading 3? Okay. So the portal for reading 3 is open. And we are still working with reading 1 portal energy with Hekate. If you didn't watch reading 1 or reading 2, that's okay. Just letting you know that Hekate was actually from reading 1, and she's been kind of our guardian through the shadow while we are receiving these messages from our shadow self. Interesting. Now yours went dark again. I'm taking a picture. It's pretty. But there's definitely more of a lighthearted energy. What did you say? I feel like I'm hearing a conflicting here. That's what I thought. Okay. So your card, which is this one, I would like naturally go to that one first. But I felt this vibe that I wanted to flip them over at the same time, and they were like no, like you're not ready for that yet, which is okay, like not a fear base, but just like, you know, it's not ready yet for the message. So this is the newer card, but this is the one that wants to come out first. Oh wow, look at that. Look at that. Well, all of a sudden like the storm's coming in. Okay. Nyx, number 19. Interesting that in reading 2 we dealt with number 18. So this is exactly what I was feeling. I feel like for some of us in reading 3, like we are learning to balance. Like this is what I was feeling. Like I almost wanted to say brava, like bravo, like really proud of you. Because this card is the darkness, number 19. But I feel like you are finally figuring out how to balance the light and the shadow, not to let certain things drive you anymore, like fear. Because I definitely, and I'm not saying this to pick on you, but I definitely, it's like you're not out of the woods yet. You know what I mean? Like just because you're getting a brava, there's also some other things that we need to talk about, which will go into the book. But I definitely feel like you are dealing with it. So I almost feel like you're either out of the dark night of the soul and you're still like filtering through things, like with people in your energy field, like that are still in the third dimensional energy, or maybe they're in their different level of their, you know, healing process. But I feel like you're either out of it or you're at the end of it. And that's what I feel like Nyx wants to talk to you about. So let's see what the book has to say. Nyx. Okay. And actually, now that I think about it, I think the number 18, like the Charon card, I think that was the second card that they pulled as well, not their card that they chose. You know what I mean? So that's interesting. So it says, the darkness is necessary. It is the place of possibility and rest. It is natural and beneficial to experience some cycles of darkness. You can illuminate your way through dark times. Not everything unpleasant is evil. Exactly. This is what I felt from you guys. I feel like you guys are like, you're starting to handle things better. You're starting to understand like that this is, you know, a matrix. This is kind of, you know, it's, I don't want to say a game because I think that trivializes what this really is. But I mean, I think some people like feel better to think of it as like a game. But interesting that the duality of this card is dark and light, which what is dark and light? Shadow and light. So it says the embodiment of the night is the goddess Nyx. She was one of the primordial or original deities emerging at the very beginning of the universe. Her fathers were Chaos and, or is that Phanes? One of the oldest of the gods. She fell in love with Iridis, darkness, and created Aether, light, and Hemera, which is day. She self-created the infamous 3 fates, the Morai, as well as Apathy, deception, Dolos, nemesis, balance, and retribution. I'm sorry if I'm butchering these names. The Charis, the Hesperides, Oasis, misery, and doom. So you'll see that here's the names, and I'll just read the around it. So I'm not like blah, 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 blah. So she self-created the infamous 3 fates. So deception, balance, and retribution. And misery, doom, nightmares, hypnos, sleep, thanatos, death, friendship, old age, strife, and discord. And Charon, the ferryman of the underworld, which is the one that we didn't read, which was in reading 2. That's interesting. Because we weren't supposed to talk about that in that situation. So in the Orphic tradition, I'm coming back because my arm's feeling oddly stretched in a weird position. So I'll let you look at that while I read. Okay. So it says that, so she self-created these energies, right? She's the darkness. So everything that we're feeling, all the shadow that we're going through, she's like, you can thank me. Thank you very much. I did it all. Right? And Hekate is here to be like, Yep, and I work for her, and the snake's in the middle because the snake's actually very feminine energy, right? The slither, that really kind of sensual energy of the snake. And so that's why a lot of times they say, like, like Eve ate the apple, she was the darkness, she brought the darkness. But all Eve did in that story really was to bring consciousness and awareness, but it was labeled from a divine feminine energy. And right now, with the planet going in this, like, radical, like, divine masculine nosedive, and they're like, what the fuck, we've been in control all this time, we don't want to give it back to the divine feminine, no, 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 no. And they're like, sorry, but you tipped the scale too far, sorry guys, we gotta move it back. We all have divine feminine and masculine, and all of us, we all do. So I feel like spirit is like, trying to get you to realize that, like, how powerful we really are. And not only that, but like how dark we can really go, but we don't want that. Hekate is about illumination. Hold on. Drink some water. I saw 5449. That's interesting, which is also 9 and 13. There's a lot of things that are coming through, and I feel like for some of you guys, which is also number 13, they're so funny. I love numbers and numerology because they're speaking to us all the time. So now I feel like what's really interesting is Nyx is number 19, and we are in a 9-year, the year of the snake. 2025 is a 9-year, and it looks like things are, ending, but it's actually new beginnings. It's just the old shit's falling away, and they're going kicking and screaming. It's like, it's like everything's fine, right? Everybody's having a good time until you tell the toddler that they have to leave and they have to go home, and they throw, right? Like, when tantrums are first created, it's because a child doesn't know how to express their emotions, or you know what I mean? And so they're just like, I don't want to go home. You know what I mean? And like, whoa, right? Like, you hear that blood curdling scream through the museum. It's like 1 minute was like beautiful, just voices, everybody's having a good time. And all of a sudden the blood curdling scream comes through, and you're like, whoa, and it shivers everybody's spine. And you're like, what the fuck? That's the energy that is happening, and that's what they want to show us, right? Like, so this divine masculine ego energy that on the outwardly look like grown men are just toddlers and children that were never loved or never, like, and they co-created this darkness that they think is good, but it's like, it's not good. It's like, on the outwardly, they're like, yeah, they're at these rich parties and everybody looks pretty and they're drinking fancy stuff and eating fancy food, and you know what I mean? And it's a beautiful environment, but in the background, right, there's men and they're talking and they're having their cigars and they're talking about taking over the world. Why do you think that in the olden times, they would separate the men and the women? They didn't want the women to hear what was going on. That's man talk. You don't want to know what's happening behind those closed doors, right? Especially around the Civil War. That's why I think it was, when Margaret Mitchell wrote Gone with the Wind, I think it I saw 5656, which is also 1111. So if you're drawn to reading too, you may want to go check that out. But that is the energy that I'm getting too. I didn't get it until just this second, 5707. And I feel like that could be an age for some of you. Like in July, you're going to be 57. I don't know who that was for, but that just came through really strong. Or maybe your mother, or like somebody could be a grandmother. I mean, I'm in my 50s. I'm old enough to be a grandmother if I had my children at a certain age, and they did too. So I just feel that came through really, really strong. That came through so strong. So love you. I don't know who that's for, but maybe you do. And if you feel free, if you want to, feel free to comment below, but never expected to do that. So this is really interesting. This is what they're trying to show us, is like, since the dawn of time, it's like, yeah, there have been dark witches and white witches in the form of the outwardly divine feminine, but there is also, it's like I said, it's in all of us. So a lot of these dark forces, I just know from personal experience that I almost married a man who, like, just the way that things happened in their house and in their lives was so fucked up and so careless. And, it's like, it's really bad when like 4 children need their own nannies. Why? Like, and she's passed over now and she's allowing me to speak about it, but like, literally, I almost married into this family that the mother didn't even have a job. They had so much money. They were one of the richest families in town. in like a smaller town. And it was like a big town, but like not like New York, you know. I don't want to say what it is because I don't want somebody to try and figure it out or whatever. But anyway, all I can say is that they had 2 country clubs that were on either side of the town, and they belonged to both of them. It's just like, I mean, they were what they call nouveau riche. And when you're new money, you want to fit in, you want to, you know, so you start throwing it around. And when you're old money, you have been doing this for like lifetimes, like your family, it's in your blood and bone. You've watched your parents like do things, say things, make deals, you know what I mean? Like you learn that like money isn't like, it's not sacred to them. People who have had money for years and years and years and years, and the people that like, that's why some people like the American president feel like they have a right to do what they're doing now, because they're like, it's because of my family's money and these people's family's money that you have what you have, you know. But at the same time, they've been abusing their power and their money and their, you know what I mean? Like they've been abusing that power for a really long time. And now energies like Hekate and Nyx are like, I don't think so, bitch. I don't think so. So if you found yourself here, and especially if you're drawn to reading 3, I feel like Spirit is trying to show us, like, look at how Nyx is keeping it together though, right? Like, even though she's darkness, she, like, they put a face on her of like a human face, but like, this is darkness, but she's holding, it looks like a clock. Like she's holding time, she's holding space, she's holding everything in her hands. She's going to decide how things are going to go. But see how she's balancing it with the light, that we can coexist. And when they get to a certain point, it turns back into this and filters back into it, and then it goes back into white light, and then it, right? Because it's about the circle of life, right? And it moves us all. So, you know, Nyx has a place. She is bringing the darkness into illumination because she's both. She's both. And I feel like that's what Spirit is saying to you and to myself and those that are here present with this reading right now, right? Like, we are the ones that balance the light and the shadow. We are the ones that have to, you know, we work through things, like we're human here, right? Like we work through things, but then when we're done, we have to let it go and go back into the light. But a lot of people are just staying in the shadow, or staying in the mine, or staying in the, oh my gosh, what's going to happen, right? Like, I like my lattes every day. I like, right? Because people have gotten into it where they're like, this is my life. It's like, no, it's not your life. It's your pattern. It's your habit. It's not your life. Go into this fucking building, into this cubicle with your little fucking coffee and your lunch. And I can speak of this because I've done it. And I can tell you, it is not your fucking life. Even if you feel comfortable, even if, you know what I mean? Because like, they want people to feel comfortable. They want you to fight for your comfortabilities. When a lot of us realize, like, you know what? I don't need electricity. I mean, yes, I do, but like right now, obviously I'm recording this and I have to charge my phone, like, so I don't want to sound like a hypocrite. What I'm saying is that I don't need it to survive. I'm using it as a tool to communicate with you over this social media, but I don't need it to survive. I can just as easily go off grid completely and be, when I go out into public, go word of mouth and have people, if they want to come work with me or have my teachings, you know what I mean? Like, I don't have to do this, but this will forever be on the internet. They're trying to scare us into submission. They're trying to scare us. They're like, people are like, remember that movie where like they shut everything down? And the people, I'm like, yeah, that's what they want you to think. That's what they want you to think is going to happen. They want you to think that the light's not going to win, but the light's going to fucking win just because it's time. It's just the age of Aquarius. It's time. And all that fucking shit is over. That's it. I mean, if you attach emotion to it and your past and your ancestors, of course, I get it. But you don't have to. It's just looking at it very matter of fact. And I feel like Spirit and that your shadow self is saying to you, especially to the empaths, we've been getting this a lot lately, don't attach your emotions so connectedly. When I looked down, I was 13 and it was like 31 and then went to 32. But like, right? Like the divine feminine is just bringing it back into balance. That's what the snake is here to do. Next year is the year of the fucking horse, and horses are all about action and freedom. What do you think's going to happen next year? People are going to be fighting. They're going to see things we saw from, you know, from the sad little parade for, you know, the military parade for their birthday. You know what I mean? And now we're seeing how many people protested, because there's more people who want their freedom. There are more people who want the light, who want love, who want equality. There's more of us than them. But back in the day, there weren't. And that's when they're like, take America back. What they want to do is they want to bring it back to like the slavery, like the 1800s, when they're like, oh, Miss Millie, would you come over here and blah, 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 and get me another juniper, you know, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? And this like, and my family's from the South again, right? And I know that's not the best accent, but do you see what I'm saying? Like they want to go back to, you know, get my thing, slave, get my thing, blah, blah, blah. I own you. I bought you. There's no fucking, you can't buy a fucking human being. Retribution is here. You bet your fucking bippy. Retribution is here. We all wouldn't be here right now turning the fucking tide if it wasn't. So wake up. You got this. You already know what you need to do. Okay? So Nyx further says, she is often referred to as the Dark Mother in Greek mythos, elementally a first goddess who begat many other important deities. As she is one of the oldest and strongest of the Greek deities, even the mighty Zeus is said to not provoke her. Ha ha ha. Thank you, Zeus, for the respect. As she is one of the oldest and strongest of the Greek, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so after angrily chasing Hypnos into Nyx's cave after being tricked by him and his own wife Hera, Zeus would go no further than the entrance. Looking at most of her progeny, it would be easy to think that Nyx is evil, or that her darkness could have a negative judgment. Nyx should not be viewed this way. Winged and beautiful, Nyx is simply the night. No judgment on whether that is better than the day. Paradoxically, she creates light and day. She brings balance with Nemesis, Philotos, and the Charis. She brings rest with Hypnos and Thanatos. Nyx just represents the darker nature of how the world works. Also, a crystal companion is onyx, and the plant companion is the night blooming jasmine. I don't know, I feel like somebody may want that for some reason. So what I got from this that Nyx was telling me as well that wasn't in the book, Nyx shared with me that she's just a mirror. And so are you, right? So like she mirrors, like she has her place in the universe, but she also will mirror back to you. So it's like she is not the dark, like she is the darkness, but whatever you see in her is your situation. Do you know what I mean? Like whatever you're seeing is you. Oh, that's really deep. Oh shit. She's from the dark side too. I was like, is she in the deep? But no, she's in the dark, but that's deep. That's deep. So let's see what card you pulled. Oh, snap. Holy shit. Number 20, the dark, Hypnos. And this came up in the book when I was going through the book. Was it this reading or the other reading? So look at that. And look at Hekate. Look at everybody together. I feel like it feels like family portrait. I'm not kidding. I feel like I want to like say something like family portrait because I want to get a picture of them. I'm trying to get it perfect. Sorry, not sorry, you know. There we go. Beautiful. So, I mean, the darkness created them, right? Like, that's what's so cool about that of Hypnos. We were just told that it's because of Nyx that Hypnos even exists. So here's the medicine from Hypnos. Prioritize rest and sleep. Allow yourself to dream. You need the grace of rest to be at your best. The unconscious has great depth and power, so explore it if you can. Use your imagination. Do not stay asleep to your potential. awaken to your power. And the duality is asleep versus awake and rest versus activity. Also, I've been getting from spirit that, like, I was having the other day, I felt like they really wanted me to rest, and I was struggling. I was really struggling with it. Like, just, it was crazy. But you know what was interesting is the more I struggled, the more I was dealing with shadow stuff. And I would start crying, and I'd be like, leave me alone. Like, I don't want to cry today. You know, and just that told me how much I needed it, right? Because I like to stay in the light so much, but it's almost like it was chasing after me. Like, bitch, like, you got to fucking face this. Like, you can go back to light in a minute. Just cry this out, face it, and get back. And you know what was interesting? I stood there. I went through it. I went through the emotions. I went through the teachings. And when I was done, it was over. And I went right back to the light. So don't fear don't fear the reaper, right? Because with every death is a rebirth, and every ending is a new beginning. It's just part of life. And the fact that we're like ending in all the dark. I mean, there's 3 different, this deck is literally called Deep, Dark, and Dangerous. So there's 3 different quadrants that we're working with. And so far we haven't pulled anything dangerous. This is really just about us going deep and digging into our shadow energy. Also, I just got this energy from, what is it? That's right, Hypnos. I almost said Lithos. From Hypnos, is that even this is like, look at the duality of this card. It's like shadow and light. And see how they're wearing a mask? I feel like for some of you, especially with that moon energy, and they had me change up the crystals for this one, and I'm really drawn to this, which is a piece of sea glass that was actually gifted to me by my partner. And I feel like for some of you, either you unmasked something in the last full moon, or like the next, you know what? Let's put it this way. This is what I'm feeling now that I'm looking at it, because I just got the whole, like, don't fear the reaper, why they're singing it now. I didn't even notice that until just now, which is crazy. But sometimes, I'm all different places. But this is really interesting, because see how it's almost like a wing? It's like part of the mask that's on their face. I feel like for some of you, you're a dark, like, witch, and that's okay. Like, like, maybe that's where you're meant to be right now. One of my friends, we had to separate because they, like, I kept trying to pull them back into the light until they were just like, stop, dude. No, I know who I am. Like, don't try and tell me who I am. They're like, this is where I need to be right now. This is what I need to go through. And it took me a while to, like, really understand and totally rip my fucking ego out of there, because I didn't realize how much I was trying to save them. You know what I mean? Ooh, 1117, or 11117. Which is also the number 11. But I feel like that's the whole thing. I mean, this is number 20, right? And 2 is like about duality. So they were trying to show me, like, I need to be here. Like, I need to go into this very dark, shadowy place with these people, with this energy. Like, we've been, together for all these years, but like now, like, I need to go here and you need to go there. But like, if we meet back up, we do. And if we don't, we don't. And this is kind of the energy that I'm getting, was like, maybe for some of you, like, even though you chose this reading, this is a reading, I called it a group reading, meaning like if you're drawn to watch all 3, watch all 3. But I feel like for some of you, you're still here. You're still in the middle of the dark night of the soul, and allow yourself to be there. And if you have to put on your little mask to go into the spirit world, that's, or like, you know what I mean? Like, when you, like this, I feel like this is who you are, but this is who you're showing the world, and you're like kind of going back and forth, and it's like, which wolf are you feeding, right, with the moon, and like, which mask are you wearing? And I feel like it's different for different people. Even with this jacket, it feels like, is it tattered, or is it like a fancy schmancy, like, designer, right? Like, I remember when I was in fashion design school, and it was all the rage that people were doing homeless chic, and I was like, you guys are really fucking missing the mark. That's when I realized, I'm like, I can't be in this world. I'm like, there's nothing fucking chic about their clothes. They are wearing that because they have to. Like, what the fuck? Like, it was just weird. And I was like, where have we fallen? Like, where has it fallen? Like, and and even back then, I had people back then that were like, this is the Hunger Games, like, this is what the Hunger Games is. Like, it's this kind of like energy, of that people are so, like, the people who have money don't need to worry about it, but the people who don't have money have to worry about it. But people who have money are worried about people who don't have money. And there's like this really weird dichotomy that's happening on the planet right now. And I feel like that's what Spirit's trying to show us, that You know, there's a lot of people who are showing a certain mask to the world, but in the background, like, they're fighting for us. They got our back. I have to say though, the way that they're like looking forward and the moon's above them, I do feel like for some of you, it's going to be the next full moon. I don't know if you saw that little fairy. I believe it's going to be the next full moon in real time. Today is the last day of spring. Tomorrow is the first day of summer in northern hemisphere, and of course fall and winter for our southern hemisphere family. And I am getting this really strong vibe that the next full moon, which will be the full moon in Capricorn, is a lot of things are gonna like change. And I've been feeling this from spirit that over like this next 6 months, well, 6 to 8 months really, but you know, because the year of the horse, I think it either starts February, it starts and ends on February 7th and the 17th, and I don't remember which one's the start date and which one's the end. You know what I mean? I want to say it starts on February 17th and ends of 2026, and then ends on the 7th of 2027, I believe. But I could have them mixed up. I do that sometimes. So with that being said, we're going to see so many things happening, and there are going to be some people, it's just like when we had other like wars, right? Where like people are, you know, they're having the duality of like showing one face, like, right? In World War II, there were a lot of people that were known by, you know, people who followed Hitler and stuff, but they were known for being like patriots, or known for being like, you know, they're like, oh, they would never help the Jews. Little did they know that like they had friends that were Jewish. They just didn't really talk about it, or they had family, or you know what I mean? Like things like that. And those were the people that were the true heroes back then, because they were the ones putting their lives on the line every day, having to show one face to the world, and like one face, like, you know, and had to like sit in on conversations that were really gross. And I went through that with my family. That's like one of the last times that I like had enough with my family, because my family were two-faced and backstabbers, and they talked behind people's back, and I did it too. And I started to realize like just the impact that it has on people. And one of the last times I just couldn't take it, and I just like called them out, and I was like, you know what, fuck this shit. And I was actually asked to leave like one of my family members' homes, and I was like, you know what, I'm happy to go. I'm like, thank you for letting me be here. I'm like, I'm leaving. And I never spoke to them again, because I was like, you know what, I will not be or sit in a room of people who are fucking bullshit, backstabbing, like I'm like, fuck you. Especially when, sorry, I don't mean to get it personal, because that one upsets me the most. Especially when somebody feels like they are protected. And, you know, it's taken me 10 years to dissect all of the behavior that was given to me, that was impressed upon me, you know, that I inherited through my blood and bone, and outwardly too, right? Groups of friends, you know, where it's like Mean Girls, right? Your frenemies. I started to realize these people who I thought were my good friends were not my friends. They were my frenemies. And I was like, holy shit, like we have been friends for like decades. And then finding out that like, you know, all I asked was their loyalty to my friendship, and to my face, they told me that they were loyal to our friendship and our friendship together. But I found out that, you know, and spirit had me like go on this little breadcrumb like treasure hunt. The way I found it was so fucking crazy, and was not something that I would do at that place where I was. And when I found out, it was so gross. And the thing that upset me more was when I confronted the people, the way that they responded. Now I can look back on it now and say, I understand what was happening, right? Like, because when you fucking get caught with your hand in the cookie jar, and there's no lying, and there's no, like, it's right fucking there, and there's nothing you can do. When you're upset and you're telling somebody they're upset with you and they're lying, and then you call them out on the lie, and they know that they're lying, and you know that you know what I mean? They know that you know that they're lying, right? And then they still try, and, you know, that's narcissism. That's an energy, right? Somebody's not a pure narcissist. Even if people are like, oh, they're a pure narcissist, I'm like, well, maybe they're possessed by that energy, but that doesn't mean that's who they are. All of us are malleable, and all of us are changeable, but it is a choice. We can choose to change. We can choose to, you know, do the balance of the light and the shadow. We can learn to live. It almost looks like an eye too, right? It's like, or are we going to hide in the darkness and use excuses and say, whatever? Because I feel like Hekate is like, I'm watching. Like, I got my eye on you, she really came through in the second part of reading 1. This broke up into 2 videos for a reason. It was meant to, because she was meant to show herself, to show her face. Because I was like, I could have easily just taken a picture of it and put that at, you know what I mean? But they were like, nope, like everything happens for a reason. So if you're having a little comeuppance, from certain, like, it's like, then this is your shadow talking to you and asking you, like, when are you going to be truthful? When are you going to stick up? Like, if you're having this with your family, your friends, work, like, are you going to be the one that's going to stand up for people and say, hey, that's fucked up, man. Like, don't talk like that. Like, don't say that. That's not cool. And then if you get fired over it, then you don't fucking belong at that job. If your family doesn't want to talk to you anymore, that's okay. Thank you for giving me life. Thank you for helping raise me. I'll see you on the other side. Your friends, right? And especially because the thing that I had asked of my friends was just like to be loyal. And it's interesting because at the beginning of this, for those of you who watched the whole thing, I told you, like, last night I had a dream about my first husband. And that's interesting because they are in a very famous band. And the only thing I had asked was because after our divorce, we were friends for a really long time, like a really long time. In fact, he was in a relationship with a woman who she and I became like really good friends, and I adored her and she really loved him. And, long story short, when he broke up with her and, got together with someone else, he's like, this is my person. And I was like, okay. I'm like, well, she didn't want him talking to me anymore. Not just because we were friends, but because it was almost like if I hadn't been friends with the ex he just broke up with, I think she may have allowed it, because we had been broken up for so many years and everybody knew we were more like friends than husband and wife and all that kind of stuff. Like, basically, if we wanted us together, we would have. We were best friends, but we just weren't sexually attracted to each other anymore. And we got together when we were really young. So, we grew out of each other and we took each other as far as we could go, but our friendship remained. Well, I understood why people still wanted to be friends with him, but what was upsetting is that his current wife wouldn't allow him to talk to me anymore. And all I asked my friends and my family was, well, then let's all back off from their whole family. Like, this isn't just about me, and they're like, well, she doesn't care if we talk to her. And I was like, well, that's kind of weird. Don't you think that's kind of weird? Because then to me, it felt like kind of bullying, like she was trying to control the situation. She wanted to control, like, the narrative of like her storyline with him, which is perfectly fine. That's their storyline. But what upset me is that my friends and my family couldn't see through that. And they were like, oh, she's so nice, we love her. And I'm like, I had a little spar with her, and because I'm a telepathic medium, like, I saw like a lot of it was based on her own insecurities, and it really had nothing to do with me and him. So whatever, it was all meant to be. I miss him as my friend, but like, I'll see him again in another life, There are times where I'm like, damn it, I always wanted him to be my guitar player because we just really perform really well together, but it's not a romantic thing. So long and short of it is that I asked my closest friends, because my family were like, no, like, especially because we were together, for almost a decade. And my family was like, all my nieces and nephews, like, they were really close to him. Like, he would always be their uncle. And I was like, okay, fine, whatever. Like, what am I going to do? Like, what do you do? Right? You're like, okay, so I can't be included in any of that anymore, but like all of my family. So you guys can like talk about him and talk about her, like, and then it got to a point where I was like, well, then don't talk about him in front of me. Like, cause that's weird. I don't want to be like some secondhand knowledge of like his life with her. It feels weird. I'm like, let's just, and it was like, they just couldn't understand why that was upsetting me or bothering me. They told me I was the one that was being insecure about it. And I was like, all right, whatever, you know what, that's fine. But at least my closest best friends, I just said, can you just don't talk to him anymore? Like, really, do you need, like, why do you need to talk to him? Like, literally, like, why? You can still like see, hear his music or whatever, but like, you don't have to go to his shows. So it had broken down that like one of my old friends, was like put on her social media that she was going to his concert and like put a big thing about it. And I was like, I thought we spoke like 8 months ago that like you weren't gonna like do this anymore. And she turned it around on me and made me the monster and said, you know, it's a fucking band, grow up, get over it. And I was like, oh my God. And this was the same person that same, like within that same like year or a few years that had happened, they had somebody that kept a friend that kept coming in and out of their lives. And it was a friend of mine from high school too, but it wasn't like they were closer to them than I was. Like I knew them, we were friends, we were like friendly at parties and at school, you know what I mean? But we didn't really hang out a lot outside of school, just one-on-one, but like if it was with that friend or other groups, you know. But either way, she had a falling out with her and she asked me not to talk to her anymore because she goes, have you noticed she's been like, you know, going towards you more? She's like, that's how she is, she's manipulative and blah blah blah. And she's like, don't talk to her. I was like, you know what, if it makes you feel better, I'm like, I don't, you know. And I even sent her like a little message and said, listen, I'm going to unfollow you and I'm not doing it to be a dick. It's just, you know, you guys had that falling out and, you know, and I'm like, you know, have a good life. Like basically is what I said. They were like, oh God, I totally understand. No worries. And that was that. So I'm like, she asked me to do that, but she couldn't do that for me. And that's why I was like, I'm done. I'm like, because if you don't see that, like, you know, I had a nice party. She could have done the same thing with him and sent him a message and said, you know, I'm not going to be going to your shows, blah, 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 but I wish you well, you know. And if she happened to be out and about, like, because they played festivals, like, I get it. Like, their band was really big and they played festivals. And she was like, dude, what am I supposed to, like, live in a, you know, whatever? I'm like, no, I'm just saying, like, don't fucking put it all over your social media that you're going. Everybody knows who he is to me, like, in our circles and our people, you know. And the craziest thing is that I met him when I was living in Los Angeles, and he's not even from this country. And then he and I moved back to where I grew up, and he ended up marrying somebody from like my rival high school that was like best friends with another friend of mine from high school. You know what I mean? It was just so weird. It was just fucking weird, man. It was weird for me. The whole thing was weird. So that's when I kind of knew too, where I was like, you know what? Maybe I'm the problem. You know what? That's fine. Then all of you guys stay friends. I'm just going to pull out. And that's what I did. And I just pulled out of my family and all of my friends. And I'm telling you this story because maybe at least one of you has to do that too. When it becomes that incestuous where it's like your friends, your family, you grew up together and people marry, like my sister married, you know, her high school sweetheart who also happened to be my best friend's cousin who also happened to live on our block. And you know what I mean? And it's like everybody knows everybody who knows everybody. And it was like one by one, the more I tried to keep people in my life, I couldn't. It was just like, it was too much. It was too much. I was like, and it's not that I don't ever want to go back there again or know them or whatever. It was just that like, I was on a trajectory to become what I am now, what I'm doing for you this second, you know, and it was just, things had to change. And I realized that like, I was just the web weaver. I was just the one that wove them all together. Like they were all meant to be. You know, it's kind of like George Bailey and It's a Wonderful Life. If I had never been born, like what would have happened? I don't know. You know, and some of my friends growing up, like they were really shy. I think they would have eventually like whatever, but some people like, I know, like they said, like you made a difference. When social media even came to be, Facebook, I had people sending me messages that were like, you know, I didn't even remember, but they were like, you know, you said this one thing to me or you did this one thing and that changed the whole trajectory of my life. I ended up going to college, you know, at this place and, you know what I mean? So it's like, we just don't even realize the effect that we have on each other. So I'm getting from spirit, it's like, remember what a big mirror that you are and that you have a great effect on others. So use it wisely, right? Use your power wisely. Which wolf are you feeding and which wolf needs to be fed? And that's for like you to like understand and know. So let's see. I feel like there's one more card. Do we have one more card, Spirit, for reading 3 or like maybe a closure for, do we have anything? Is this it? Because I just said this was on the bottom. Oh, look at that. Another form of death. Acceptance. And for some of you, maybe you're having a hard time. Oh, look at that. That fell, but it's like a form of a wolf. Like, which wolf are you feeding? And look at how they're like, the shadow is really there next to, you know, this moon next to that moon. There's some heavy stuff. Do you want that to be shown? Okay. They just wanted to show it that way. But I feel like hell wants to be here. And not that she's going to like cover up Hekate, but I'm going to bring her over here and I'm just going to like push that out just a little bit. So again, it's like, oh wait, no, that's not. That's in the deep. So hell is from the deep, number 6. He's so interesting. I went to open the book and it opened to Nyx. I feel like Nyx is trying to show us like hell and Nyx are kind of like each other's like counterpart. Oh, and now that it's just opened up to that, look at that. Things can never stay the same. Change must be accepted. Be flexible. Keep walking through difficult circumstances. Do not stop and get stuck. Acceptance allows you to move on faster. Surrender what no longer is yours. The duality is acceptance and denial. Yeah, for some of you, you know what you need to do. And I don't know if this was on every other card, but I just noticed the snake here. Is it on all of them? Hold on. I'm like, I have to know. Oh, I guess it is, but I swear I didn't even notice it till it was here. So in the Norse afterlife, there were a number of places you might go when you died. If you died fighting bravely on the battlefield, you might end up in the Valhalla, which is with the god Odin, right? It's like their heaven. Dying courageously, you might equally end up with the goddess Freya in her hall, the Folkvanger, the battlefield. Alternatively, you might end up with hell. Hell was both a goddess and a place. Hel, the goddess, was a giant and the daughter of the god Loki, not to be confused in any way with the concept of the Christian hell. This was not a place of punishment, but an underworld. When people died in a not particularly courageous way, they went to be with Hel, a kind of benevolent middle place. Ooh, that's nice. It's also number 25, and we're in the year 25, and I feel like they wanted me to see that. That's interesting. So it was a long and rough journey to travel to Hell, and it was considered lucky to finally arrive. It could be a cold and lonely walk. So during funerals, the dead were provided with things to make their journey easier. A sturdy pair of walking shoes, hell shoes, were often funerary gifts. You wanted to make sure dead folks had a good pair of shoes for the journey, lest the shoes break or wear out and they be forced to come back to life as a revenant. You also didn't want to be stuck in a place that wasn't here, not there, because you had no shoes. Despite the pervasive images of Vikings as savage warriors, history reveals that their martial expertise and penchant for war was only a small part of their story. They were innovative boat builders and negotiators and navigators and incredible traders and innovators. They held sophisticated courts and allowed women to inherit, rule territory, lead ritual, and even fight in battles should they wish. They also lived in accordance with a wide-reaching mythos, a spiritual belief system that was shamanic, animistic, and pantheoid. What is this word? Okay. All at once, but that went by no formal name. The Norse people simply practiced their beliefs by taking right action in accordance with the stories and rituals passed down through the generations, and the idea of going to hell was part of this. There was a deep understanding and acceptance of dying as part of life, although a person shouldn't die in vain or in a cowardly manner. Virtue and living a good life in service to the society and gods ensured that death could be accepted and a new life in the afterworld begun. The plant companion is the crowberry and the crystal companion is the thulite, which, by the way, you guys, before this started, I saw a blackbird, not a crow, not a raven, a blackbird. And my neighbor, I was out there watching them with their kids recently, and she has been putting all these bird feeders out, and she's like, have you been seeing the blackbirds around? And I didn't notice it until she said it, but right before I started this, there was a blackbird. So your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to work with the blackbird energy, research blackbird's spiritual meaning, and see, because I feel like there's a, you know, especially because I have so many, I'm literally at the like beginning of like a sanctuary. There's so many different birds that I see here all the time. I mean, the other day when I was on the water side of where I live, there was, within a minute, I got it on video, there were seagulls, eagles, a blue heron, a crane. Like, it was crazy. They were all in the same place because the tide was out really far, so they were coming in to eat, you know. It was really, 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 really powerful. I feel like this is a message to you guys as well, to work with the blackbird medicine. Also, if you were drawn to reading too, I'm getting bit again, so there must be some message or something in there for you guys, because I'm getting like, it's so weird. I didn't feel this way until like right before I started this reading. I started to get kind of itchy. I started to feel kind of like uncomfortable, like I was kind of almost like crawling out of my skin. So I feel like maybe that's like a message for some of you guys as well, is to, you know, work with that energy. I feel like it's coming for you. Whether you like it or not, it's coming for you. Okay, do we have any more messages for reading 3 at this time? Do we have any more messages for the collective or for the group before we exit this reading? Okay, so we thank all of the energies and entities from this deep, dark, and dangerous oracle deck. Hold on, Spirit's coming through. Okay, thank you, Spirit. And also, for some of you who haven't seen the 3rd quarter moon reading, I'm going to put a link in the description box. And also, thank you to the spring energy. We welcome in summer. Thank you to the fall energy, and welcome in winter for our Southern Hemisphere family, because we do have them in this tribe. And welcome to the new members. And thank you for keep showing up to all of those of you who are supporting this tribe. And also, thank you, Spirit. Every Sunday until they tell me not to, I'm going live at noon Pacific Standard Time. We're doing Sacred Sunday. Every Sunday is different. So I have no idea what the theme will be this week in real time. Today is Thursday, so it's just a few days away. But I don't know what it is. But always make sure that you like, subscribe, and put the little bell on, the notification bell, so that you know when I'm going live, and also when a new material is put out. And deal with this, whatever this is, because I feel like for some of you, this dark energy is coming for you and it's trying to scare the fuck out of you. And Spirit is like, you need to be like, get the fuck out of here. You have more power than them. Look at how it went dark again too. It's been lightening up. Look, it's lightening up out there. But like, it's like they're trying to show you that, you know, work with this energy while you're in it. Call on Hel, call on Hekate, call on, you know, any of these Nyx, any of these energies that, you know, when you need them. You know, they're here to work with you, whether you're in light or whether you're in shadow. Okay, so those are our messages. All of my information is in the description box and on this channel if you'd like to work with me one-on-one, or if you'd like to contribute anything to the work that I do on this channel. Until next time, take really good care of yourselves and each other. Blessed be. Oh.